be multiplied unto you all. I am Christ. I am disciple. Watching my channel. All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. The stream is brought to you by LIVE Products. LIVE. Live now. We're live now.
Pleasant good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. The LIVE brand has expanded from drinks to punches. The punches cost $15. The drinks cost $10. In the drinks we have grapefruit orange sorrel, fruit punch, Morby lemon, ginger ale, and lime. In the punches, we have pumpkin banana Guinness cocoa. We have sea moss, beetroot, molasses, and peanut punch. To order, check the description. LIVE, live now. We're live now. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. The LIVE brand also includes cleaning products. Now, here we have a number of cleaning products. To your right is disinfectant. This here is dishwashing liquid. This is fabric softener. And we have a new LIVE product, this product right here. This is car wash. Car wash soap. We also have liquid detergent. To order, check the description. LIVE, live now. We're live now. Pleasant good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. The LIVE brand has expanded.
Okay, so that's LIVE for you. If you live in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can use these LIVE products. It's important to understand that you have to be in the Trinidad and Tobago area. You can call 319-4788 to place your order or for more details. Okay, let's get to it. Mr. Alex Jones, who is simping for the Trump administration, he has this. He says, breaking, the EU is preparing openly totalitarian action against X, including a potential fine of $1 billion for disinformation. This is a direct attack against America and free speech. The unelected EU Commission is the new Soviet Union and the enemy of the free world. This is what he said. But shout out to Manny Quinn and the mighty one, the Mighty Hornets. This is Mighty Quinn here. She says, you're okay with shutting down any criticism of Israel, though. Very fucking selective with your free speech. What happened? Did Rabbi Shmuley put a pager up your butthole? And she's so correct. The world has already turned against Israel. This is a given. We're not going to be able to unsee what we saw and what is happening in real time, which we'll go into in a second. And everything's kind of fitting together. Now, Hollywood is starting to speak out. And this is very important. It's very important that you do not stay neutral on these issues. You have to speak out because you're going to be affected by this. And you stay quiet, you're going to be complicit in your annihilation. So it's important that you speak out, and the more of you that speak out, the better. They're trying to, right now, the empire is in desperation mode. The empire is falling if you don't realize. The Western Empire and the American Empire is falling apart. And the reason why different countries are turning against each other, we see the United States tariffing the EU, it's turning against the EU, it's turning against Canada, it's turning against Mexico. We see them turning against EU properties that own Greenland, for example. You're seeing a lot of desperation and land grabbing trying to happen. And it's a very desperate attempt. You see Israel also trying to do land grabs. They've been trying to grab land in Syria, which is not going to be permanent. They're trying to grab land in Lebanon. They're trying to grab land in Palestine. There's a lot of land grabbing going on. And the reason this is happening is because the empires are falling apart. All right. You hear in Europe, the talk about, there's a lot of Islamophobia, by the way. Islamophobia is like a standard thing now. Hate against Muslims is just on unreal levels. It reminds me of the anti-Semitism that happened to the Jews back in the 30s, the 20s, the 30s, leading up to that. And this is because Islam at this present point in time is a threat to Western living and Western culture. What's happening is a lot of the people who they bombed, a lot of the countries that are bombed, the Syrians. Remember, Syria had a refugee crisis in which a lot of people were leaving Syria and heading to European countries and to the United States. And so the refugee problem migrated to Europe. And again, this is all the Europeans and the Americans doing. The West has caused these problems. And, Dr. Jill Stein, shout out to her, and, Dr. Butch Weir, and several others, have been speaking about how to stop refugee crises and migration. And what Donald Trump is trying to do is deport people back to their respective countries. Well, at least that's what they're saying. The truth is, it's an intimidation tactic that they're trying to use, and they're trying to use the loophole that you can just reject someone's visa without having to explain why you reject the visa, and then deport them. And It's supposed to be based on the Alien Enemies Act, but the state could just trump up charges, but the courts, if you have to pass it through a court, which is we're going to talk about all of this as well. It really changes the degree and magnitude of the circumstance and the situation. We've been keeping close eyes on everything that's been happening, myself and several other individuals. And the thing we are realizing is all of this is just bluff. Like, if you call them on their bluff, all of a sudden they have nothing. The Israeli argument about, anti-Semitism and, Jewish students being harassed in universities. First of all, it feels like a preppy sort of elitist sort of thing going on. It's the same thing where they're trying to execute Luigi for killing a guy who's responsible in a company which is responsible for killing millions of Americans. Okay. And this guy decided, you know what, to get attention, he needs to assassinate this dude. And it's so weird because here they are assassinating poor Palestinians in Palestine. Here they are trying to, they have abducted at least 3 to 4 to 5 people we know of that they have abducted so far in America. Press no charges, just taking these people out. We don't know if they're torturing them in Louisiana in torture camps. They're trying to get the court cases moved to Louisiana. It's not happening because obviously the judges are in Massachusetts, in New York, in Washington, D.C. have already vetoed that the people need to be tried in the states that they were taken from. And this is an abduction. The thing about these things that is so interesting to me, and so much, you guys have no idea how much you have leverage right now. Because one, the government is illegally doing this. It's against the law what they're doing. And two, if they're setting precedent saying, "Oh, fuck the law," then that means the citizenry can take that precedent and say, "Fuck the law" too. So what they're doing, they don't even understand what they're doing. They don't understand how much fucking shit they're bringing upon themselves. They don't know. See, they're not playing the long game. They're desperate. So they're playing the short game to try and suppress everyone. And they're trying to intimidate lawyers, intimidate different people. But again, they don't understand the will of the people. They don't understand what's going on. They really don't understand what they've just put their foot into. And there's no turning back. There's no turning back on this. The federal government is complicit in crimes, not just against Palestinians in another country or other citizens in other countries, like the Syrians, the Palestinians, the Lebanese, but now they are fucking up because they're now bringing about civil crimes against citizens, against residents, against immigrants inside of their country. And that is going to, I'm telling you, man, the consequences for this are going to be monumental. Okay. because they are making a case for why the federal government is not necessary, why the Federal Reserve is not necessary, why we don't need to pay income taxes, why these big conglomerate companies have only been killing the population, the farmers, the citizens, and the residents and the immigrants who have been experiencing these chemtrails, the fucking safety net, that social security that everybody worked for and put their money into, that they're now stealing from the people. The fact that they're trying to, satisfy the billionaire class, the oligarch class, the corporate class. They were trying to give them tax cuts, and they're not trying to give tax cuts to the average citizen, the average person. The betrayal of the American people, everyone can see it now. It's on full display. And the fact that they're carrying out directives from Israel, a fucking foreign country, it's not even fucking American, okay, is enough to piss off any fucking American. They used to take pride in America first, in being American. There was something to that. Now, not only are you bringing international shame on fucking Americans, but you're carving them up and you're killing them. There's no motherfucking homelessness is at its all-time high in America. You look at some places, you want to know if they're fucking slums and ghettos. Then the fucking police is behaving like a fucking military arsenal, attacking the people and killing them and torturing them. I think it was 2 years ago, we saw a George Floyd incident, and that fucking shit is still fresh in people's minds. Not to mention how they're hunting down civilians and they're killing them. They're killing civilians, and it doesn't matter what race they are anymore. And so the message being sent to Americans is this fucking federal government doesn't give a fuck about them. That's the truth. And they're seeing it against what's happening to the Palestinians as what is happening to them. It's literally a mirror image of what's happening in America. And it's the same fucking thing in UK. It's the same fucking thing in Europe. I'm telling you, this empire is about to fall. Meanwhile, the fucking Chinese, it seems as though everything's going well for them, and it seems as though their nation is doing pretty well. The Russians, the Russian people are firmly behind Vladimir Putin and this war that's going on. You don't hear protest about the war. You don't hear people saying, no, we shouldn't have this war. No, they're firmly behind him. So we can look at other nations and we can see something different happening there. But when we look at America, it's a totally different story. We've got ass backward politicians who are so fucking incompetent that they're losing court cases left, right, and center. And they're going to continue to lose court cases. And you think the big conglomerate lawyer companies, you fucking retards, a simple fucking community lawyer can win these cases. That's the thing that these fucking assholes don't realize. Their connections are to the big business, big corp, big oligarchs. That's their connection. They don't have grassroots connections. And that's where you win. You will flog these motherfuckers. It's going to be so easy for you because they're fucking incompetent. They only know their people in high circles. They don't know the grassroots. As who was it? Bernie Sanders? Somebody, yes, it was Bernie Sanders said, Washington is fucking clueless as to what the people really want. I wish I could play that clip for you guys. I don't think I have it. It's not on Twitter, and I'm not going to play what's on YouTube. I'll get flagged. But it's clear to me as day and the rest of the world, that includes Americans with the world, are these fucking incompetent clowns who are called politicians, who are supposed to be leaders, but they are fucking corrupt motherfuckers working for corporations, working for Israel, working for the satanic fucking cult, these Zionists, and not every Zionist. Let me just make this abundantly clear so I can clear this up. Some of you ignorant people out there who are Zionists, who don't understand what's really going on, don't understand what Zionism is. You probably grew up in it or whatever. I'm not mad at you. You are not the ones I'm trading my guns. I had a couple conversations with Zionists recently, And I just realized it's just ignorance. They don't know. And when I started to bring out information to them, they were pretty shocked. You know, they didn't know about what is called ancient Hebrew, for example. And when I brought up the examples of it, a lot of them were actually shocked. One Zionist was like, "What the fuck?" You know, because she thought, the Hebrew that she knew was Hebrew, and she learned that that was Babylonian. That's fucking what they call Aramaic, which is Babylonians introduced Aramaic, and then Israel took the letters of the Aramaic. They still use they pronounce the words and sentences differently, but that's where it comes from. It's not fucking the original, the earlier Hebrew, the Hebrew with Moses coming out of the desert into Jerusalem and stuff like that. Okay, that Hebrew was more Egyptian, Canaanitish. It was a different Hebrew. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this shit. Okay, so the original Hebrew, what they call Paleo Hebrew, what looked more like Phoenician. It looked more like 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 Canaanite language. Okay. So a lot, and they call it Paleo Hebrew, but it's actually the Hebrew. That's the Hebrew. That's Hebrew. So they changed it. And see, a lot of you guys don't know that, and it's because they were in Babylon so long. Um, and see, another Zionist, she tried to say, well, in Mesopotamia it was cuneiform they used to use. I said, well, yeah, but that was early Mesopotamia. See, you're dealing with early Mesopotamia, right? But later Mesopotamia or later Babylon, especially under the Persian rule, they used Aramaic. In fact, the whole fucking region used Aramaic, okay, because Persia presided over it. So from the time of Nebuchadnezzar onwards, which, I'm just going from the Bible here. I know historical accounts don't have a Nebuchadnezzar per se. They have some other ruler by another name, but that's besides the point. The point is, after Nebuchadnezzar, or during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar and after, we had this Babylonian, what y'all call Amharic, but it's really just Babylonian. And the whole region spoke that language because presiding over all the entire region was Babylon. They had their own dialects and they had their own stuff that they did, but because Babylon and then Persia ruled over the area, Aramaic was the thing. Okay? Common sense? So Israel took on that. And that's what, to this day, Israel uses. They tried to revise this in the Roman numerals, but Aramaic is no longer used throughout the region. It's Arabic now. It's Arabic. Okay. So it's just something for you guys to know. Jesus also spoke Arabic. They said Aramaic, but it's really Arabic. And this is the Jews trying to confuse the issue. So don't get it twisted. And these Jews that I'm talking about are Zionist Jews. Okay. They revised the Bible as well, the Schofield Bible. A lot of people didn't know about this. And, different things are coming to light. So I'm not going to, like I said before, I'm not going to come down on Zionists or people who claim they are Zionists and they don't really know. They're just being manipulated, right? So I am talking about the people who know what Zionism is, what it's really about. Zionism is basically colonialism. Okay. And just in case you don't know, the UK is a perfect example of colonialism. The United States of America is an example of colonialism. And ironically, the Puritans, who were persecuted in Europe for having Zionist beliefs that, Israel would be reformed and Jews would go back to Israel. And that was seen as heresy back in the day. And these Puritans escaped to the United States of America and they spread this same bullshit to the United States of America. So way back then, in the days of the Puritans and back in the 1700s, etc., they were talking this shit, okay? Which is not biblical, by the way. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah. So it's a desperate attempt by the powers that be. They're trying to wield laws, and they're trying to use definitions that are inaccurate. So the laws are inaccurate, the definitions are inaccurate, the laws are illegal, the definitions are illegal, and this is why it can't stand up in a court of law. And they're trying to do it now. They're trying to change definitions in Congress by consensus. They're trying to pass laws. We don't give a fuck what law you pass. If it's bad law, we're going to civilly disobey it. And that's all you have to do to make these things have no weight and no value. And they have to move as thugs. They can't go. That's why they're rushing things through, because they can't go before the courts and win these cases. They know these cases are unwinnable. The case with the brother who's gone to San Salvador, who isn't supposed to be there. And, I think I let you hear Mehdi Hassan's talk on this. I mean, this government is, man, I can't say how easily they can be picked apart and destroyed. All right. And if they try to use brute force, civil disobedience goes into full gear, people militarize, and you start a full scale civil war. And the first thing to go down is Washington. Washington's going to be taken out. Okay. So no matter how these fuckers try to do things, how much they have their little shills backing them. MAGA people don't support this shit. I can tell you a huge MAGA contingent doesn't support this. What used to be Democrats and progressives, the Democrats have betrayed them, so they've said fuck that. So whatever they are now, this large, huge conglomerate of people, they're ready to go, and they're being active. They're taking action, and I like that you guys are taking action on different fronts. And I'm going to show you how many different fronts you're attacking at. And I tell you, they can't win against this. It's just too multifaceted. There's just too many people involved. The veterans are already protesting. We have the veteran wing going out, and keep the pressure, keep the heat on veterans, and build your numbers, and get recruits from the military to support you. And I see military recruits already. I see military people, both in America and in Israel. Military people are turning against getting drafted. I'm seeing military people turning against running special ops for the United States government. They're losing support on a monumental scale, and it's going to continue to happen. They're depending on certain key people to implement what they want to do, but they really don't have support amongst the military either. The military commanders, etc., they're not for this, what's happening to begin with. Some of them are carrying it out against their own will because they have to carry out an order. But it's about time you guys civil disobey as well, the military. And people will say that's a coup, but I don't give a fuck. It's time that the military takes things into their own hands and says, that this is bullshit. This government is not following the law. And this government's in danger to national security, and take stuff into your own hands. When there's a breach of national security where the executive branch is violating national security, it's about time you guys step up. And national security doesn't have to do with big corporate bodies that you're protecting. It has to do with the citizenry. And if you can't see the difference between the citizenry and the corporate bodies that are leeching out all the money, the funding, they're extracting labor, and you can't see that these corporate agencies have run maverick wild, and they're now sucking the country dry, and they're destroying the people of the country in the process of doing so. Then you better know what national security. This is what fucking national security. National security has to do with a fucking nation, not with corporate. Corporate security has to do with corporations. National security has to do with a nation. A nation is made up of people. The majority of people are suffering because of these fucking corporations and because of these fucking oligarchs and about these fucking political clowns out there who are so fucking incompetent they can't win court cases on a general basis. Because usually what they do is in breach of the law. And it's about time the people stand up and say, enough is enough. Enough is a fucking enough. And no, we're not going to let you replace us with machines. And we see you're killing us slowly. And you also are killing the Palestinians, which is us. Basically, you're showing us you don't give a fuck about us. You don't give a fuck about us. Because the way you're treating the Palestinians shows us that this is where we're heading to anyway. It's going to be poor people. And what you're going to do, you're going to make us terrorists. You're going to call us terrorists. Take in front before in front takes you, man. All the farmland's becoming weak. Why are they doing this? They're trying to force. It's so fucking weird to hear these people talk about communism. And we're heading in the direction of corrupt communism, of a dictatorship where fucking Trump calls all the shots and you have to worship Trump. Otherwise, you don't get nothing to eat. You don't get to go nowhere. You don't get to drink. And if you don't watch it, you go into prison for saying anything against it. And so fuck these people. Fuck these clowns. You know what I'm saying? That ain't going to happen in America. That's for sure. It'll go down before that happens. There'll be a civil war. Nah, motherfucker. These motherfuckers will not take that. They will make sure and take you out. And Trump will be the first to go because he's already public enemy number one. Most people don't like him anyway. Okay? They're going to take him out. And then they're going to take him out. They're going to take out all of the Capitol Hill. I'm telling you, man, this is America. These Americans don't fucking play with their liberties. And they stormed the Capitol once. They're going to storm it again. And they're going to come much more high tech and much more armed up. Trust me on that. And they're going to have support from the military. They're not just going to go in there, gun ho. No, hell no. They're going to have military support. And y'all can call it traitor, treason, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They'll launch an attack on Capitol Hill, and they'll eliminate the problem once and for all. The federal government will no longer exist. They will obliterate the federal government. Trust me, man. There are people within each branch of government who understand this. You're playing with fire. And I'm telling you right now, these Jews, they don't care about America going down. But the thing about it is, if America goes down, so will Israel. Because they'll be fire fodder for everybody. And trust me, everybody going to take that. They're going to swing. Everybody going to swing at them. Right? So Israel's playing a dangerous game where they're trying to do this anti-Semitism bullshit. And they're trying to get as much law on their side. And in the meantime, they're trying to intimidate people. And nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's intimidated by Israel. Nobody. Not one fucking person's intimidated by Israel. That's the problem. Jews can't run the world because nobody's really afraid of them. And yes, they assassinate people and they kill people in the entertainment industry. And yes, they try to, I see it already. I see they're trying to track me down as well. But I couldn't give a fuck. You know why? I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to be honest with you. If it ain't me, who do you think? You think eliminating me is going to stop this from happening? Do you think I'm the person who you think you can shut me up? Okay, shut me up. Fine. It's only going to intensify. Every time I don't think people understand the spiritual, the spiritual implications of this. So I'm going to speak on a spiritual level for a second. Every time you martyr someone, every time you take a life of someone who has the intentions are to edify humanity, to make them grow, you don't kill a movement that way, especially when there's no particular leader of the movement. And I'm in two movements where there's no particular leader of it. And both movements are extremely effective because they don't have a particular leader. The reason why they can't get rid of Hamas, Hezbollah, Ansarallah, the Iraqi resistors inside of Iraq, is because there's no particular leader. So when you martyr me, when you kill me, you actually release my spirit. And my spirit is going to it's going to multiply. You actually, by killing me, it's a concept, Jesus spoke about it, unless a seed goes to earth and dies, you can't have a forest. So Jesus' death released his spirit from him, and it fills all of us. And so there's whoever receives it. And the problem with martyring people and killing them is you magnify the problem. You don't decrease. You think and that's the thing the devil doesn't understand about the kingdom. That's what he doesn't understand about the kingdom. Every time you kill a saint, you're just accelerating your demise, because that spirit of that saint is going to go on to several of the saints. And they're going to get activated. That's all you're doing. You're not going to stop anything. So you don't understand. That's a sacrifice unto the Lord. When a Christian commits themselves unto God, it's their lives they commit unto God. And it's a similar concept when somebody commits themselves to an idea or to a purpose or to a movement or to a cause. That's why you can't destroy Ansarallah. That's why you can't destroy Hamas. That's why you cannot destroy Hezbollah. And I have no problem saying I am, in this particular case and with this particular issue, I am pro Hezbollah, I'm pro Hamas, and I'm pro Ansarallah. I don't know their backgrounds. I don't know how they treat their people. I don't know the particulars of them. But when it comes to the cause that they're doing and how they're trying to play their role in assisting in that cause, I have to say, they're as valiant as Star Wars rebels. I'm not saying they're perfect people, but from what I've seen of them and the information and the data I captured on them, including October 7th, in which you still have to show me where Hamas has shot down civilians, where Hamas has done damage to people. All you keep on showing me is after effects of burnt buildings, bodies lying there. You have not shown me any footage of Hamas killing anyone or shooting anyone that is a civilian. I'm not talking about military bases. I'm not talking about military places that they came and invaded, which is operations. I haven't seen it. I really haven't. I've seen them detain Israelis. I haven't seen them abuse them. I haven't seen them hit them with anything. I've seen them shoot the feet of Palestinians who have been caught stealing stuff and stuff like that. I haven't seen them kill a Palestinian. So I'm still waiting to see information where Hamas has killed someone in cold blood that's not a soldier. That's not a IDF soldier. Most of the abductees that we saw them go with were IDF soldiers. They may have been women, but they're IDF soldiers. So I'm not sure what negative thing you could say. And they say, okay, well, Mahmoud Khalif, he was pro Hamas and he was pro Hamas. First of all, if he's pro Hamas, and y'all say Hamas is terrorists, whatever, even if he's pro Hamas, that is no reason to to kidnap him. You got to give a better explanation than that. There's freedom of speech. The man can be pro whatever he wants to be once he doesn't act on it. And what was he acting on? He didn't even do the break-in and the sit-in inside of the main place on the campus. No, he didn't do that. He had nothing to do with that. They were talking about also the Turkish lady who did an op-ed. She did not attend protests or anything like that. She did an op-ed. And they abducted her. Again, legally speaking, they have no legal grounds to do that. None whatsoever. They're saying it's classified information. Fuck your classified information. They revoked her visa. Okay, you revoked the visa. That's something that you could do. That's what the American government can do. They have the power to do that. We could say that's okay, but you can't be detaining her somewhere in Louisiana. You can't be detaining her, and you can't be detaining Khalil. If you revoke their visa, they should be able to appeal that in a court of law, and then after doing so, because they're on the United States soil, so that's why the reason why they're holding them is because if they get to appeal that in a court of law, they probably win the case. That's the problem. And right now, I'm going to show you a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as I can.
Oh, no, you were the one who said, or whatever. And
I have so much to say. That's the problem. I always have a lot to say, Hold on a sec. Let me get to it. Actually, it's here. All right. So what I'm going to have to do is back up a bit. Okay. So first of all, this was what happened with Khalil. And as I said before, his role in student protests He was a negotiator between the college campus and the students. Okay. The thing about it is that um, the Columbia Jewish Alumni Association says that Mr. Khalil spent over a year abusing the privileges of this country and Columbia gave him. So they're trying to say that, his green card puts him in a status where, he shouldn't be protesting, which is bullshit. The First Amendment rights say that if you're in this country and you're affected by the policies of the country, you can protest the policies. Okay? Just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean you don't have the right to protest. That's something that once you land on American soil, you have the right to do. The Trump administration cut $400 million in funding to Colombia. Colombia has been caving in since then and trying to negotiate with the government, which is bullshit. They shouldn't be caving in. They should do like the other university, which is, I think it's Tufts University, which made a statement saying that they want back their student and that, this needs to be handled in the state in a court of law, and they side with the student. They're in solidarity with the student that has been taken from their university. So there's a difference between the Turkish lady, the PhD grad, and Tufts University, and Columbia, who's behaving like assholes. They're caving in. Okay? That's because of the Zionists in Colombia, by the way. Legal experts say green card holders can be deported on national security grounds, but add that the case against Mr. Khalil is unprecedented. The thing about it is, they have to prove the case that it's national security in a court of law. Khalil should be free to appeal this in a court of law. He should be walking around free. This is not something where you abduct someone. You can't just abduct people. You can't just, if you say you're going to arrest people, why is ICE moving with masks? It's because these people in ICE, they don't want to be targeted, but it's easy for us to find out who you are in ICE. It's easy for us to find out where you are in any department because you fucking people are so fucking clumsy. You're so fucking clumsy. You leave a paper trail the size of, the size of a highway, a freeway, So it's easy to find these people, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, let me go back. Okay, Columbia student protester sues Trump to stop deportation. So this is what I'm talking about. See, if they can't abduct you and hide you away somewhere, you can get access to your lawyers. Once you get access to your lawyers, you can be represented and you can sue them. And this is what this Columbia student is doing. And you can make a ton of money off of suing them. So, because the government is so fucking incompetent, they don't have good representation. They don't have good lawyers. And they'll lose these cases. Because why? Their main ground is national security, and it's classified. Why we can't reveal information. That bullshit ain't gonna fly in a court of law. It's not gonna fly. Right? A Columbia University student who has moved to the U.S. as a child is suing the Trump administration over attempts to deport her for participating in pro-Palestinian protests. Yeon-Seo Chung, 21, a legal permanent U.S. resident who moved from South Korea when she was 7, alleges immigration officials have executed search warrants at multiple Columbia facilities, including her dormitory. The lawsuit seeks to block her detention and deportation, citing First Amendment and other constitutional rights. It follows the administration's recent detention of Mahmoud Khalil. It's not detention, motherfucker. That's kidnapping. A prominent pro-Palestinian activist who helped negotiate between university officials and student protesters. Mrs. Chung's lawyers have said she participated in campus protests against Israel's war in Gaza, but had not made statements to the press or taken on a high-profile role like Mr. Khalil. The Department of Homeland Security claims Ms. Chung engaged in concerning conduct, including her arrest at nearby Barnard College demonstration over student expulsions linked to pro-Palestinian protests, U.S. media report. Here's the thing. You have to show me how what she's doing violates national security. Because if you're telling me that national security is the security of Israel, then fuck you. You're not America first. Because this has nothing to do with America. She is protesting against what a university in America is supporting of Israel. They're trying to get the university to divest from Israel. So what the United States is doing with Columbia with the $400 million they're removing from Columbia, it probably has to do with what the research that Columbia was doing with Israel. So in fact, they're just saying, okay, you want to divest from Israel? Well, no more money to you. But it's really the money that's associated with their research with Israel. So ultimately, in the end, the optics look, oh, wow, they're defunding Columbia University. But really and truly, it's just the money that they would have gotten if they had worked with Israel. You see what I'm saying? So it's bullshit. At the end of the day, it's just a bluff. And the university, pleading with them shows that the university actually doesn't want to divest from Israel. That's what's going on with Columbia University right now. It's about time we expose that shit in the open, Okay, let me keep this moving. I gotta wrap this up real quick. So there's a lot more in this article. You can check it out. It's the BBC Columbia student protester Trump to stop deportation. It's really good. And this Korean managed to not be found when they tried to look for her. Obviously, she was a couple steps ahead of ICE. And she was able to do this and put this in, this court injunction on them. She's still at large. I don't think they've arrested her or whatever they do. But at the same time, she's countersuing them, and she should sue. Also, she should press not just criminal charges, but she should also press civilian charges, meaning not civil. I guess civil charges. She should press both, and she would make a pound of crown for the government. Because I'm telling you again, this government has nothing they're standing on. They're just blocking free speech. This is the truth. Okay, so yes, what I told you, people suing them, you need to do that because you actually are on the right side of history. Marco Rubio says U.S. revoked at least 300 foreign students' visas. Again, the government, through the Department of DHS, has the right to revoke a visa, and they don't have to explain to you why they revoke your visa. The thing is, you can appeal that, and you can take them to court. And if they don't have a damn good reason in the court of law, you could sue them and get money from them. And this is where Marco Rubio and all these fucking politicians are bluffing. The guy who was deported to San Salvador, and they're saying they can't bring him back. If they don't bring back a man who was wrongfully carried to San Salvador, did not even face trial and was deported, man, first of all, in terms of civil damages, you could sue them up the wazoo. This could go into millions and millions of dollars you could sue them for. His wife can do that. And two, because the man's a civilian, any damages that happen to him in San Salvador, the American government needs to pay for those damages. So whatever condition he comes back in, if he comes back dead, they have to pay even more money. If he comes back badly injured, they have to pay for everything. So that's just civil. Then criminal. Oh boy. Criminal damages and criminal charges need to be laid on the U.S. government and all people that were involved in this. And that's where heads start to roll, because this is where politicians, they think they have immunity for everything. And the day is about to change, not just in America, but worldwide. Politicians are going to be held accountable now. The politics they used to play before and get immunity from the theft of billions of dollars that they would steal from the American people, the chickens are going to come to roost. And I'm telling you, man, we're going to up the ante even more. We're coming for these motherfuckers. We're coming for you. We put you there. You will answer to us. And if it takes 10 years, you will answer to us. And you will make account for what you've done. And then afterwards, you will be punished for what you have done. U.S. cancels visa of Nobel Peace Prize winner Oscar Arias. And Oscar Arias was the former president of Costa Rica. Currently, the current government of Costa Rica is bending over their ass to be fucked by America. And so Mr. Oscar Arias was very critical of that and the Donald Trump regime, and they revoked his visa. So if you say anything bad about this regime, or you say anything bad about Israel, all of a sudden your visa is revoked. And I remember the Prime Minister of Barbados saying, well, if my visa is revoked, so be it. That's why I say, and I'm going to say it again, I'm interested in going to China, Russia, and Africa. Fuck the U.S. Don't give a fuck about the U.S. Fuck Europe. Don't give a fuck about Europe either. Because these countries are hypocritical and the leaders are full of shit. And if you guys, if you're part of their populace, whether it's the UK, whether it's the EU, whether it's the United States of America, and you're part of their populace, and you realize the bullshit that they're doing, don't take it. Don't take it. You are the labor force. You have the purchasing power. You're the one that buys the goods and services. You're the one that drives the economy, not those fucking corporations and not that fucking set of fucking ass politicians that don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay? It's not them. And you get rid of the federal government, all of a sudden, you have less problems. You have to deal with government that's closer to you within your state. You don't have to go all the way down to DC to see them. And on top of that, you could actually state-wise make laws that are more applicable to your given state. You get more autonomy. You can still have the United States of America if there's a concession. But the last thing you need is a fucking federal government fucking up everything. Because the federal government's going against the laws, the legislature of your given states, against the courts. This is what they're doing. And the only way that they're going to understand is by realizing that they can be replaced. Nothing's guaranteed for them. They're replaceable and they're not necessary. You have to be able to show that. And you have to be able to show the military, the national military, that they can still serve the Americans' interest and American interest, but they don't need a federal government to run. You have to do an audit on the Pentagon. The Pentagon has never been audited. Fucking audit. Tomorrow. Audit the fucking Pentagon. Audit it. It needs to be audited. There's the IRS. Fuck the IRS. Shut it down. Shut down the Federal Reserve. Shut down income tax. Pump some of the money and revenues America gets into research to fix the lands of the farming lands that need to become fertile again. Shut down the fucking FDA. All these federal, my ass. Shut down the FBI. Shut down the CIA. That's going to be hard. Shutting down the CIA is going to be hard. The FBI can be done. CIA will probably have to be rebranded, and you guys will have to go bit by bit, step by step, to try and nab that motherfucker. Because that's a big motherfucker. That runs a lot of things. It's bigger than Mossad. And Mossad's everywhere. Okay? So that will be your task, to try and stop the CIA. CIA is integral. It is a shadow government. It is integral. You can take down the CIA, you're going to be happy. And the whole world will be relieved. The CIA, oh my God, that's a tough task. And that is why I believe no matter if Palestine is freed, no matter if we win this battle against the federal government of the United States of America and Europe, etc., and the people win, this fucking entity, these intelligence agencies, they're gonna find a way to tilt the tables back in our favor. The win will not be long term because we can't get rid of the rooted evil that really destroys everything, which is these intelligence agencies. They have too much information on us. They can maneuver that. They can work that to their favor. And so that's the problem we have. The battle will be won, but it won't be a victory that lasts very long. And that's the problem we'll have. It's the sustainability. What do we do after we win? And after we start to build up a new and a different type of governance that involves everyone? Infiltration, sabotage so that it doesn't work. So many things can go wrong very quickly and very fast. And, to try and validate the incarnation of these agencies again. And so that's the problem that we will have going forward. But at this present point in time, we're going after these guys. There's no turning back on this. We're going to get them. We're going to get them. Every last one of them. The politicians particularly, they're always in the forefront. So they're going to get put into play. But a lot of them are going to regret having done what they did. And hopefully in the future, maybe 2 decades from now, we look back at this victory. And even though the world, and even for that brief moment in time, the world won, it will look back on it like that. And, things will kind of relapse and kind of reset and kind of be seem normal, but it's not normal, And the world is still going to take those steps back, and humanity is going to suffer for it. But before that, we have this huge victory to look back on. That's what we're going to be able to say and watch. We'll have delayed the inevitable a little bit, So yeah, this kind of bullshit is what's going on right now, and that's the Colombian gentleman. And I just wanted to share that sort of information there before I go into Restore the Snyderverse. I'm running out of time in terms of battery power, so I don't want to keep this much longer. I don't know how long I've gone. Almost an hour. Okay. I remember covering this already, so I'm not going to cover that. I covered all of this already. Abir, shout out to Abir, says history remembers not only the perpetrators, but also those who stood by watching the genocide. And then this, which has come out, Devil May Cry. There's a video game out there, but also Devil May Cry, the anime, it came out, I think, on Netflix as well. They unironically made it about the evil Americans invading hell and killing the poor innocent demons, and Green Day starts playing. And man, this is pretty much what's going on right now in Palestine. Pretty much, and this is just horrible. This just happened a couple of hours ago. Tahisi Coates observes, we are at a moment right now where people are asking themselves, why can't the Democratic Party defend this assault on democracy? I would submit to you that if you can't draw the line at genocide, you probably can't draw the line at democracy. Such telling statements. Ben Affleck directing Kerry Washington. The EU is going to bankrupt itself. They're proposing a defense spending budget of 800 billion in euros. Naturally, the majority of this will go into a financial black hole called Ukraine, and the remainder will go defending Israel. Obviously, Starmer will want to be a part of this bollocks, despite UK's departure from the EU. This is it. World War III is guaranteed. See? I don't even have to write parodies anymore. This shit writes itself. Yep. We got incompetent, stupid politicians who are getting paid to do a lot of shit. And this is what's happening in Israel right now. Today it's clear to me that the longer I remain a reservist, the more I aid a bloodthirsty government in abandoning the hostages. I won't volunteer to serve in the idea of reserves under this evil Israeli government. And the person's even calling the government evil. And this is what's the sentiment in Israel. So the Israelis are not, and I told you, a majority of Israelis, and even more now, are turning against this slaughter that's happening in Palestine, and the slaughter that's happening in Syria, the slaughter that's happening in Lebanon. More and more, they're against this. And the longer this keeps on going, is the more you will see resentment. You will see a lot of people just come out and say, fuck this shit. This shit is crazy, right? You're going to see a lot of more Israelis doing that. And you will see the majority of Israelis, it's a 54% to the 46%. Okay, 54% of Israelis do not like what is happening with this war. It wasn't all Israelis. I told you guys that. And you're going to see it as time keeps on elapsing and this thing keeps on drawing out, because they're not going to be able to get rid of Hamas. So they're never going to be able to cleanse Gaza of all the people, the genocide that they're trying to do. The Palestinians will hold their ground no matter what. And this is gonna, they're saying, oh, they almost wiped out everybody, all of Hamas. And the same bullshit that they did in 2014, the same thing they did in 2008, 2009. The same bullshit is playing out. They're not going to annihilate the Palestinians. They're not going to get Gaza. All this talk, they can't get past Hamas. How the fuck you going to get Gaza if you can't even get past Hamas? Right? They're not going to be able to do it. Not American, not the same bullshit that is happening under Biden is happening under Trump. There's nothing new. We're not seeing anything new here. Okay? These people, Palestinians have been used to going through this time and time again. It's just that this time it's televised. We all see the horrors of it. We all see the terrible shit's going on in Congo as we speak. Nobody's covering that. Shit's going on in Sudan as we speak. Nobody's covering that. Shit's going on in Syria as we speak. Nobody's covering that. We see the bombings in Beirut, Lebanon, but we don't see what's happening in southern Lebanon, where a lot of people are dying because of the IDF. I say this to say, this is getting more televised coverage than ever before. In any kind of nation dispute, this is getting the televised coverage. But this is how it always has been. It's always been this horrific. It's always been this evil. There's always an oppressor. Even worse happened in Iraq when that fucking son of a bitch, George Bush and Dick Cheney, they bombed the shit out of Iraq, killed over 1 million people. You want to talk about shameful? And this is the same bullshit they're doing. This time it's exposed in real time. And not only that, but people are standing up against it in real time. It used to take people years to get around the Iraq war. It took all the way until 2005, 2006 for people to realize how much of a terrible thing to America it was to invade Iraq for no fucking reason at all. Except lies that Netanyahu was a part of. So at the end of the day, even people in Israel are turning against this. And when that sort of happens, you know it's over. The game is over. I got more to say. So let me get to it. I don't really want to talk about this, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it. James Gunn put out the extended trailer of his movie that's coming up, and it's awful. It's awful, man. A dog that's in tune with its owner knows when its owner is hurt. It won't trample its owner and just behave like a total klutz. So this shit that I just saw, it don't fly with me. The movie plays up jokes. It tries to make jokes on everything. It tried to make jokes on Man of Steel. It's, it's a fucking waste of time. And I didn't want to just even talk about it, but I just threw it in there. So I already said my piece on it. I don't want to say any more. Yeah, Netflix Devil May Cry show. It was great. It's a great show. Listen to this. I mean, literally talks about that. So yeah, great stuff. Snow White's disappointing box office just got another live action remake shelved indefinitely. Yeah, well, next time don't have an Israeli who, yeah, she wants the hostages released, and that's cool. But who only sees Israel's side of the story, does not empathize with the Palestinians, withdrew a statement of empathy for the Palestinians, now is trying to demonize the Palestinians, particularly through Hamas. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And that's why people didn't support Snow White. That's one of the major reasons why it flopped so hard. It wasn't because of Rachel Ziegler, particularly, and we already covered that in another video. Christopher Lee.
Level of the top producer, who you see this all the time at the level of the top producer, who between them or separately will make flop after flop after flop after flop. I'm not going to name them, but I know who they are. And they're not all American either. And they still get paid huge sums of money for being in films that nobody wants to see. And producers make pictures out of which they take enormous sums of money. And the films, again, are not films people want to see. They're always going to blame somebody else. Always. Not their fault. No, you were the one who said, or whatever. And there's a word for that. It's called upward failure. You see it all the time.
Wake up, work hard, pay bills.
You see this all the time.
Upward failure. In other words, Zaslav's filling his pockets with a lot of money, millions, for a flop, and they don't care. They don't care because they make their money anyway, and that's all that matters. That they get their pockets are rich, that their pockets are fat. And that's called upward failure. So that's what's going on. That's why David Zaslav doesn't give a fuck. James Gunn could produce a dud. He doesn't care. He's getting his pockets are fat, and that's all that matters. Movies and games related says a dog would know if you are hurt. Crypto's an idiot in this movie. The sun hurts Superman? Huh? Robert says they don't have emotions while the other one shows emotions. Who the fuck wrote this movie? Well, brother, it is what it is. Okay? So that's what I've got for you guys. Much love and peace to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Again, you have the power, not them. You have the autonomy. You have the power. And you have to understand that. And the sooner you do, the sooner you understand why laws are made. The laws are made for your benefit. It wasn't made, the laws weren't supposed to be made. They were supposed to be made for your protection. They weren't made for the elite and rich's protection, for the elite and rich's benefit. It was made for the citizens. That's at least what they sold to us. And so we have to take it up on them. Right? We know the truth now, but that doesn't mean that, exclusively, we need to be naive or staying in the naivety of what these people have been doing. And we don't have to let them get away with it because we are the ones. We're the people doing most of the work. We're the people who are driving the commerce. No matter what, these corporations still depend on us. The government still depends on us. So by that, you guys take that strength you have, unite together as one, and unite with the rest of the world, and create these tremendous statements and strikes and protest. And your protest must be streamlined. You must be able to tell these governments and your government what it is you want. We live in a society, especially with social media, where you can react and you can actually have conversations and dialogues with whatever corporation or business or government now because of the interactive nature of social media. So make your presence heard. This is your opportunity to have your voice heard. And don't let anyone silence your voice. When they try to silence you, speak louder, speak stronger, come at them harder. And don't just speak, act. Show them that you're willing to take actions that will shut them down, that would hurt them in spots that they will be hurt very, very badly. That's what you have to do. So stand strong. We have all the talent, all the tools, because we are the laborers. We're the doctors, the lawyers, we're the police officers, we are the military, we are the future shapers of tomorrow. It's us. It's not them. We buy into their bullshit. But if we are educated, we can chart a new pathway for ourselves. We can decide what it is we want to teach the younger generation. We can decide how we want to deal with our communities, whether it's in terms of safety. Instead of using policing, maybe we use some other strategy. In terms of healthcare, how we take care of sick, ill. Maybe we can look at it and forget about fucking Rockefeller and what he said about the medical community, and we can look at various options and various ways to treat disease and illness and how to prevent disease and illness. We can then put laws in place to stop the fucking chemtrails that come out of planes, to stop the chemicals that poison the soil in the farmlands. Maybe even reverse the effects of chemicals that are in the soils and farmlands, which have been polluted. So these are things that are worth conversation. This is what Americans should be speaking about. This is what we in different nations should be speaking about. How we can empower ourselves as a collective and deal with the Masonic structures that have been put in place to keep us oppressed, to keep us thinking about getting the next dime, to feed our families, instead of having us look at broader questions of how we can build our communities and make our communities better in that framework. So think about that. All right, I'm going to see you guys later. I am what you need. I am Christ, I am disciple, sorry. And you guys have a good night.